Hello and welcome back to my channel. I guess it is already time to pick my March TBR. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but here we are. First, I'm going to quickly go through all the prompts of last month's TBR game and see whether or not I read the books. So my first card was the Charlotte Perkins Gilman card, for which I wanted to read the book, naturalist book for February, which was Black Faces, White Spaces by Caroline Finney. I'm not entirely sure that's right, so if not, I'll put it on the screen. I did start that on audio, but I ended up DNFing it, so I won't count it. I haven't actually made any rules for myself yet about DNFing books, but I'll just let it depend on how far I got into the book. The second card was the Eye, for which I read The World of Wonders. I haven't actually finished it yet, but I am very close to the end, so I'll finish it by the end of the month. Then I read Heerlijk Monster by Fleur Piretz for a book with feet on the cover. My fourth prompt was to buy a book by a beloved author, and I ended up buying Sula by Toni Morrison. It's been a while since I've read anything by her, and this was the book by her that I wanted to read. Most of the ones I haven't read yet. Then the next card was the Cauldron, for which I wanted to read They're Going to Love You by Meg Howry, which I didn't get to. Prompt 6 was to read a book that was older than me, and for that I read Maurice by E.M. Forster. For prompt 7 I had to read an Arab author, and I picked Blood Feast by Malika Mustadrak, but I didn't manage to read that one either. And then the last prompt was a free pick, so just any book I was excited to read. And for the TBR spin I picked The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. This was a book that I was really looking forward to read. Unfortunately, I found it rather disappointing, but it still counts as a book read. Which means in total I didn't finish 3 of the prompts, so I'll be moving back 3 spaces on the board, but I can also redeem some spaces again if someone has read something for the viewer prompt, which was the Joe Harjo card. And I have heard back from one of you by now. MC6348 had read When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit by Judith Kerr, so that would mean I will move a space forward. So if I'm correct, that means I will be moving back 2 spaces in total. Right, so now we've got that out of the way and I know where I can start on the board. It is time to pick my March TBR. So for March, honestly, I'm not even sure why I'm picking a TBR, because I have plenty to read as is. I still have 4 books to read for the Booktube Prize. I've got August Blue by Deborah Levy. I have Witness by Jamal Brinkley, and then also I still need to read Tom Lake by Anne Patchett, and what's it called? I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackay. And those I still have on hold at the library, so hopefully they'll come in time, otherwise I'll have to buy some copies. I have some books out from the library as well, so I'll do a tiny little library haul. I have The Vaster Wilds by Lauren Groff. This is the book naturalist book for March. I have Astro Power by Tani Nicholas. This is the Dutch translation of You Were Born for This. Someone, I can't remember now who it was, but I'll obviously put the video down below, did a really good video on doing book recommendations for Aquarius. So I don't always like book recommendations for star signs kind of videos, but this one I really enjoyed just because of the way she talked about it, and she mentioned this book as well, so yeah. Now apparently I'm going to learn all about my horoscope. And then I also have Heartstopper Volume 5. I put a hold on this when it came out and it just came in now, so obviously I would like to read that as well. Then I don't know yet what the Classics Book Club pick will be for March, but I might want to read that as well. I have also thought about reading one of my chunkier books of my 40 before 40 list for March of Mammoths, but honestly I don't think that's going to happen. I am a member of Team B of Expeditions Through Pages TBR game, Tale of Two Trails, so I'd like to fit some books in for that as well. I haven't seen her video yet, I don't think it's out yet, or at least not when I'm filming this, so I'll probably just see how the books on my own TBR will fit into that game's prompt. There's a lot happening. Dowithon as well, I'd love to read something Welsh. Remember when I talked about slowing down in my reading goals video? That's really hard when there's so much fun things happening. So doing this TBR game is a little bit pointless, but it's fun, so I'm doing it anyway. So without further ado, let's get into the rolls for March. Okay, so here's where we ended up last time. So I'm gonna move 2 spaces back, which is this way. And then this is roll number 1, which is 3. 1, 2, 3. That is a prompt card. And that is to reread a classic. Roll number 2 is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is a card, and that says, there we go, Sappho. Roll number 3 is 2. 1, 2. That's another of the oracle cards, which is a cat. Roll number 4 is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another oracle card, and that is the moon. Roll number 5 is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is another prompt card, and that says adventures. Roll number 6 is 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another prompt card, and that says non-fiction. Roll number 7 is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's another card prompt, and that is Toni Morrison. And then the final roll is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is a book buying prompt. A book in translation. So the first roll was to reread a classic, and I think I might pick up Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. I've been meaning to reread this for a while, and I think I'll do a read along to the audiobook with this. So read this book whilst listening to the audiobook at the same time, because the audiobook of this is really phenomenal, and I think it would really enhance this book. So that is my pick to reread a classic. Then the next pick was the Sappho card, this one. Now I could read what it says in the booklet, but of course I'll be reading something sapphic for this prompt. I'll read the card anyway. So on Sappho it says, Sappho, love, the beloved desire and taking flight. Before Plato and Homer there was Sappho, 630 to 570 BCE, literary star of ancient Greece and the first female homoerotic poet. Plato called her the 10th muse, and her and her reputation has survived to this day. However, her song and lyre accompanied poetry of bittersweet love between women has been lost to time, fire and religious disapproval. Only a few fragments remain. Yeah, I'm still going for something sapphic. One of the prompts for the Feminist Reading Challenge is to read a queer historical fiction book. Wow, the sun is coming out, I guess. I found the audiobook of The Confessions of Fanny Langton by Sarah Collins. I know very little of this book. I know it's historical fiction. I know there's a sapphic romance in it. I know it is partially set in Jamaica, and that's about all I know. But I'm looking forward to reading that book as well. Then I got the cat card. The words for that are the untamed, self-ownership and watching. I need to get sunglasses for this. And I think this will fit perfectly with the Faster Wilds, because, well, the word untamed really reminds me of the Faster Wilds, and then it's about a young servant who escapes from a colonial settlement. So I think the word self-ownership really fits with that as well. Okay, I closed the blinds because I was getting blinded by the sun. So I hope you enjoy this stripy thing I've got going on now. It was supposed to be really overcast and cloudy, but now we've got some sun, which is actually quite nice, but maybe not the best for filming. Where were we? Oh yeah, my fourth prompt, or was it the fifth? I'm not sure where we are, but I've got the moon card, and it says about the moon, surrender, mystery and looming change. I think I will read I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackay for this one. I'm not sure if it's a perfect fit to this card, but it is classified as a mystery novel, and I have to read it anyway, so sometimes you just have to make it fit. Or I could read the astrology book, because it has a moon on the cover. Then the fifth prompt was to read a book that was labeled adventurous on the story graph. There is usually not that many books that are labeled adventurous on my TBR, but I do have two fantasy books. One is the Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb, and the other is the Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. Now, there is a prompt in the Feminist Reading Challenge to read a fantasy book with queer representation, and Black Sun is marked as LGBTQIA+ on the story graph. The Dragon Keeper isn't, but having read the series so far, there is definitely some queer rep in the books, even if the author didn't necessarily set out to write queer characters. So I'll read either one of those, but I'm not sure which one yet. The next prompt was a non-fiction book. I have just started listening to Growing Up Aboriginal in Australia, which is an essay anthology with a quite self-explanatory title. I don't think I'll finish it before the end of February, so I can count it for that prompt, or maybe a non-fiction book will come up in my TBR spin. But yeah, I'm sure I can fit something in. Then I got the Toni Morrison card, for which the booklet says Toni Morrison, her word is power, owning power, seizing power, and the powers at play. No American writer is more honor-laden than regal Toni Morrison, born in 1931, who was born to a working-class family in Lorain, Ohio. a frequent setting for her epic novels of black experience. Her most famous work, Beloved, has become required reading, but wave that unjust homework aura away. Seek this novel for the haunted story it is, a deeply spooky and moving book about a vengeful baby ghost. And obviously I just got a Toni Morrison book, so I think that's what I'll read. And then the very last role was a book buying prompt, and that was to buy a book in translation, which worked out really well because it is always Dutch Book Week in March. I always allow myself to buy a couple of books for that. It's a book where Dutch language books get promoted, but books translated to Dutch count as well. So I'm gonna have an old-fashioned browse in my local bookstore and see what looks good. So this is my TBR for March, and then having to add 2 Booktube Prize books to this as well, and my TBR spin book. So obviously I have my work cut out for me. There is a big chance that I won't get to all of these, but that's quite alright. Like I said, picking the books is just half the fun for me. Now all I have left to do is to pick a card for you, if you want to participate. I always pick a viewer card at the end, and then if you can let me know by the end of the month if you've read any books for this, that would be great. I pick a card and you can interpret it any way you want. If you think it counts, it counts. And the card for you is going to be Mary Shelley. I'll show you the card, so if you want to draw any inspiration from anything that's on the card, you can have a look. And the booklet says on Mary Shelley, Mary Shelley, the cycle of life, transitions and attachment. Frankenstein isn't the garish zombie story we've seen in pop culture. Inspired by scientific discussions of the day and the complex feeling Mary Shelley, 1797 to 1851, had about parenting, Frankenstein is a painful tale about the creation of life and what happens to shunned, abandoned children. Her life was as harrowing as her famous novel. Her great losses of mother, feminist Mary Wollstonecraft, husband, poet Percy Bysshe Shelley, and 3 children tried her ideals of domestic harmony. I'll write it down below as well if you missed anything I said there. So I hope you can find something that fits with that card. And then that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.